when you're campaigning on anything to do with Indonesia, although it's one of the, has the fourth or third largest population in the world, it's, in terms of awareness, I mean, generally speaking, we develop campaigns in Western countries, and the emphasis would always be to get countries with whom Indonesia has close ties, to get them to do something, because, I mean, like Britain, of course, has always had very close ties with Indonesia, and if they are made strongly aware of concerns about what's happening in Indonesia, then they will exert a certain amount of pressure. Mm-hmm. But of course, on the whole, Indonesia is not a country about which countries in the West are very much aware. So a lot of the effort in organising a campaign is to build awareness, to get it into the press, or to get political parties to take some kind of action, to respond. Because without that you can't do anything. So Indonesia is always difficult because, as I say, Indonesia was not a British colony, it was not a French colony, it was a Dutch colony. And who knows about what happens in Holland. Dutch, you may have a lot of organisations and churches and so on and so forth in Holland who are very concerned and very well informed. I mean, it's like here in Britain, there are many people who have spent, half a lifetime in India or in, I don't know, in other parts of the British, Empire or Commonwealth and so on. And I'm quite aware of, that India exists and may know something about the problem. But Indonesia was never a British colony, except for a very short period when it was under the control of this fellow Raffles. But otherwise, there's no knowledge in Britain about Indonesia. I would say the most interesting and effective campaign that we waged at a certain point was East Timor. And the reason why, I think one of the strongest weapons, or one of the strongest things we had in our hands, was that Britain was selling weapons to Indonesia. And you have in this country a very good, well-organised, nationwide organisation called Campaign Against Arms Trade. And if you can get them on side, then of course it's much more effective here in Britain, because they have groups all over the place. We don't. We are just here in this room. So, and when you have Campaign Against Arms Trade, then they do. I mean, there was a huge effort when it became known in, when was it? I don't know, 1954. I'm not sure if I got the dates right. That Britain was selling hawks to Indonesia, and was selling, I don't know, what is it? I can't even remember what it is. Certain vehicles, certain vehicles they were selling to the Indonesian army. And of course CAT got very upset about that. And they had the capacity, when we fed them with information. Of course they were not following the situation closely in Indonesia. We were the source of what was going on in Indonesia. Of course at this time there were so many political prisoners and things like that. And if we could feed that information to an organisation like CAT, and CAT could spread it out everywhere, then of course every time CAT groups would get in touch with their MPs and all over the country. And I think the most valuable campaigning we did, I would say, was when we had CAT on side, and where there was this problem of selling weapons to Indonesia, because they became a very important partner or ally in this. So we could campaign very strongly against arms sales to Indonesia, and that really became, you know, quite a lot of meetings would have resolutions against selling weapons to Indonesia, because the news got round all over the place. So I think the important thing is to have allies, because we function always as a very small organization.